Imagine paying like $1,000 for a concert ticket, only to find yourself trapped outside a locked stadium well past midnight. You're surrounded by maybe 10,000 surging, frustrated fans.
Yeah, and panic is starting to ripple through the crowd.
Right. And meanwhile, the billionaire headliner is safely tucked away inside, just trying to decide whether to pull the plug on the entire night.
You really expect a massive stadium tour backed by a billionaire music mogul to operate flawlessly. Like, you scan the ticket, you buy the merch, and it's just a seamless spectacle.
Exactly. Today we're dropping you right into the middle of the sheer, unadulterated chaos that unfolded at Jay-Z's recent Yankee Stadium show.
It was supposed to be a guaranteed victory lap.
Oh, totally. But we're going to break down how it devolved into a terrifying logistical nightmare. Plus, we'll get into why some highly scrutinized superstar cameos went completely off the rails, and the strategy behind a totally unexpected political call-out right in the middle of the set.
There is a lot of ground to cover.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we even get to a single note of music being played, we have to talk about the physical reality outside that venue. I mean, the concert started over 4 hours late.
Yeah, well after midnight. And we have to be clear about why that delay happened. It wasn't, a diva moment backstage or a broken speaker wire. It was a massive, genuinely dangerous security breach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, an estimated 10,000 people rushed the gates of Yankee Stadium. The sheer physics of that many bodies moving toward a confined entry point completely overwhelmed the infrastructure.
I mean, I really cannot overstate how outnumbered the security staff was. At one point, there was literally a single security guard, just one guy in a blue polo shirt, trying to hold back this massive, surging wave of humanity at one of the main entrances.
Just one guy. That is terrifying.
It really is. It's like trying to hold back a burst dam with a single sandbag.
Yeah.
It defies the laws of physics, and it's so scary to watch. People on the ground were actually comparing the vibe to an Astroworld 2.0, referencing that tragic crowd crush.
Right, which is exactly what organizers dread.
Exactly. And to prevent that kind of tragedy, stadium officials made a drastic call. They locked the doors.
Which is an incredibly extreme measure in the world of crowd management.
Right, hold on. Locking the doors. If I'm managing a stadium, my first thought is fire safety. Doesn't locking a massive crowd inside violate every basic safety protocol we have?
Yeah.
Doesn't that just create a pressure cooker if an emergency happens inside?
What's fascinating here is the sheer psychology and the terrifying logistics of crowd control. Because you are entirely right to point out the danger. Locking doors is a highly controversial, panic-inducing last resort.
Right, because what if something goes wrong?
Exactly. From a purely physical, fluid dynamic standpoint, yes, stopping the flow of bodies prevents a fatal crush at that immediate bottleneck. But psychologically, you are instantly escalating the anxiety of every single person trapped inside the stadium.
Because suddenly they realize they have literally no way out.
Precisely. You solve one immediate localized danger by potentially creating a catastrophic stadium-wide secondary hazard.
And the human toll of that decision was massive. Over 15,000 legitimate ticket holders who were still outside were completely denied entry. They missed the show entirely.
Wow.
Yeah, Jay-Z actually had to apologize to the crowd once he finally got on stage, stating he explicitly didn't want to start the music and risk getting people trampled outside.
And think about the atmosphere that creates. The doors are locked, the crowd is exhausted, it's past midnight, and everyone's nervous system is totally fried.
Which brings us to the performances. Because you'd think, okay, the doors are secure, the music finally starts, the worst is over. But the chaos didn't end. It just moved from the gates to the stage.
Yeah, when an audience is that anxious and delayed, the performers must feel an impossible pressure to overdeliver.
Right.
The margin for error is totally gone. The crowd is basically saying, we survived a near riot for this, it better be perfect. And that pressure centered heavily around the guest appearances.
Right, so Rihanna makes a surprise appearance. Under normal circumstances, the crowd would completely lose their minds with joy. But instead, fans were completely ruthless online.
They really were.
They pointed out she sounded incredibly pitchy and, frankly, just rusty. But I do want to defend her for a second here. Vocal cords are like a muscle. If you haven't run a marathon in 10 years, you don't just step onto the track, lace up your shoes, and break a world record.
It's a biological reality. The vocal folds aren't magical instruments. They are layers of delicate tissue and muscle. When you don't use them to belt out stadium anthems constantly, they literally lose their elasticity.
Not to mention, she hasn't performed regularly in a decade, and she's had 3 kids back to back. Even Rihanna herself admitted on stage with a laugh that she was rusty.
Which was a remarkably vulnerable thing for a billionaire icon to do. But it highlights the immense, often unforgiving expectations placed on female pop stars. We expect them to freeze in time, but pregnancy physically alters the vocal cords.
That's for sure.
Yeah, hormonal changes can lower pitch and make the tissue heavier. She was fighting against biology, time, and an exhausted crowd.
So she embraces the vulnerability.
Yeah.
But then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have Beyoncé. She appeared for just one song, and she sparked a totally different kind of outrage from her own fan base, The Hive.
Right, they called her out for heavily lip-syncing.
Exactly. Fans immediately noted that during her set, the backing track suddenly stopped, and she only started talking live when the specific Love on Top segment began. And just to complicate things further, during her appearance, Beyoncé threw up a hand sign.
Oh, the Rockefeller diamond.
Yes. Now, a lot of angry fans jumped on this, calling it an Illuminati hand sign and viewing it as some bizarre betrayal of God. But regardless of the conspiracy theories, the crowd was divided. Some were furious about the lip syncing, while others argued, look, she's playing a character. She's preserving her voice so she can keep touring for 30 more years.
And right there, you are looking at two entirely different survival tactics in the modern music industry. You have Rihanna's honest, almost casual acceptance of her human limitations, and you have Beyoncé's highly calculated, flawless presentation that relies on vocal preservation.
Right, because lip syncing mitigates the risk.
Exactly. Beyoncé understands her brand is built on absolute perfection. But as we saw, when the mask slips even a little bit, it shatters the illusion of authenticity that fans demand.
So the crowd is already on edge, the cameos are polarizing, and it feels like the event is just slipping through Jay-Z's fingers. And then he makes a sharp left turn. He drops a highly specific political bombshell right in the middle of his set.
It's a fascinating pivot in how you control a narrative. If the physical event is failing, you dominate the rhetorical one.
Here's where it gets really interesting, and I just want to lay out the facts neutrally here, reporting what both sides have claimed. During his set, Jay-Z started rapping about former NFL...
Basically, he alleged that Kaepernick took a financial payout in exchange for his silence.
Exactly, which directly contradicts Kaepernick's own very public claims. Kaepernick has stated repeatedly that he was blacklisted by the organization, famously posting about being denied employment for 1,363 days.
And the essential context here is Jay-Z's current relationship with the NFL. He manages the NFL halftime show. He is the person who orchestrated Rihanna's Super Bowl performance.
Right. So is Jay-Z leveraging his insider position with the NFL to drop actual behind-the-scenes facts to the public? Or is he just picking a random, unnecessary battle on stage? Because taking a shot at Kaepernick in the middle of a delayed concert seems so out of left field.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to ask if this was a calculated distraction tactic. Let's just look at the timeline of the evening.
Okay, I'm listening.
You are Jay-Z. Your event is a logistical disaster. Thousands of paying fans are locked out. The people inside are frustrated and traumatized. It's incredibly late, and the surprise superstar cameos are generating immense online criticism.
It's a nightmare.
Total nightmare. In the world of PR crisis management, when the narrative turns violently against you, you introduce a new, more explosive narrative.
Wow, so it's like throwing a flashbang into the room so people stop looking at the mess on the floor.
Precisely. Throwing out a highly controversial claim about Colin Kaepernick, knowing full well it will dominate the sports and cultural headlines the next morning, acts as a smokescreen. It forces the public to debate the complex politics of the NFL rather than focusing on the massive logistical failures of your stadium concert.
That is wild. It's essentially weaponizing pop culture gossip to save your brand's reputation.
It is. And remember, there are always layers of behind-the-scenes drama fueling these moments that we don't fully see. For instance, it's a widely known detail in industry circles that Beyoncé's mother reportedly strongly dislikes Jay-Z.
Oh man, I can only imagine that adds quite a bit of backstage friction to an already stressful night.
It speaks to the immense pressure cooker, the personal and professional tensions constantly brewing backstage. Asserting dominance over a cultural narrative like the Kaepernick situation might have been his way of reestablishing power on a night where he had absolutely lost control of the physical venue.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Let's zoom out for a second. A night that was supposed to be a flawless victory lap for a billionaire artist instead became this incredibly messy collision of realities.
Yeah, you had dangerous crowd dynamics that left thousands trapped.
Right, you had the stark biological reality of fading vocal magic, meeting impossible fan expectations, and you had a forced political drama that looked a whole lot like a calculated PR diversion.
It really shatters that illusion of the perfectly managed stadium tour we talked about at the beginning. It reminds us that at the center of these massive monolithic brands are human beings, subject to aging, logistical failures, and very large egos.
Absolutely. And it leaves me with a thought that I want you to mull over today. Think about your own habits, your own concert experiences. As ticket prices continue to skyrocket into the thousands of dollars, we have to ask ourselves, are we actually paying for a live musical performance anymore?
That's a great question.
Or have we reached a point where we are just paying a massive premium merely for the privilege of being in the physical presence of a billionaire's brand, even if it means risking our safety and getting locked inside a stadium just to say we were there?
It's a profound question about what we truly value when we hit purchase on that ticket. Are we buying the experience of the art or just proximity to power?
Something to think about the next time you're sitting in a virtual waiting room for hours, staring at a loading bar. Thanks for diving deep with us today.